And we are live, Dina. Good morning, everyone. I'm really happy and proud to present one of Delta Analytics graduation lectures by our Global Teaching Fellows, Dina Machuve. So, we're going to be talking about applications for AI in Africa in the Tanzania context. And I'm just going to take a few moments of time now to talk about Delta's mission and our recent projects. So I'm one of the Delta Analytics teaching fellows, and I've been working with Delta for about 3 years. And Delta Analytics' mission is to increase access and usefulness of data to empower change makers working to better their communities. And this takes the form of two projects, two arms of Delta Analytics, and that's our data service grant and our machine learning for good. So our data service grant brings data professionals to matches them with nonprofits to work on the nonprofits challenge with working with their data or questions that they want to answer. And the machine learning for good program is an extension of that original data service grant, where we found that the bottleneck was having the concentration of professionals in usually the Bay Area. And so we wanted to make sure that the capacity is spread around the world and help accelerate people's passion and ability to solve their own challenges and problems through machine learning. Next slide. And since 2013, Delta Analytics has completed 50 projects with Bay Area and actually global and Bay Area nonprofits, social impact organizations. They've donated over 20,000 professional hours. And we're looking forward to applicants for the next year for the data service grant program. And for the machine learning curriculum, we've open sourced the curriculum that's available on our GitHub. And we've been expanding it and refining it to make sure it's accessible to students globally. And for both of these programs, we've charged $0 for our services. So now, which brings us to the Delta Analytics Teaching Fellows. And so a little bit about the history of this arm of Delta Analytics. So Delta has been working since 2013 to help nonprofits. And then in 2017, when I joined Delta, we started the Teaching Fellows program. And then in 2017, our key initiatives was to build up this curriculum from scratch with best practices with accessibility and interest from the learner's perspective. And we taught our pilot program in Nairobi, Kenya. And then in 2018, we beta tested and revised, as well as open sourced our curriculum on GitHub. And then we taught the curriculum in full in Morocco and in the Bay Area. And in 2019, we really kind of regrouped and to sit down together and what makes curriculum engaging, how we can improve uptake and interest in what could possibly be a dry topic for a lot of people, but so important on so many levels for people to understand machine learning and inspire people's interest in it. So we supplemented our curriculum with active learning techniques. And then now, which brings us to Dina and her Global Teaching Fellows cohort, is to support educators around the world. So our 2020 Bay Area Teaching Fellows. We're mostly based locally, and then our 2020 Global Teaching Fellows. Slide. Which we're here in these lecture series to celebrate. So we've had 2 talks already by Christian Leke, and today we have Dina, and we have 2 more from Chima and Aseda. And so invite you to stay tuned in to those other lectures from our Global Teaching Fellows. And slide. And then it's my honor to present Dina Machuve. She's a lecturer at the Nelson Mandela Institution, Africa Institution for Science and Technology. She's sharing her most recent work on practical applications in Africa for AI. And this is where I leave you with our great friend Dina. Her passion is to solve practical challenges with machine learning solutions, and we get to hear from her live today. So thank you, Dina, and I'll leave the rest of the time to you.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's lecture with agenda on convolutional neural networks. I will take you through an overview of the sector in Tanzania, the the poultry sector, and the motivation of using convolutional neural networks in developing countries, with a particular emphasis on chicken health monitoring. We will then zero in on introducing in details about CNNs and the different architectures and how we can apply CNNs in the field. We'll end up the session with a walkthrough on a coding example on applying CNNs for chicken health. To start with, I want you to tell me which chicken is sick, okay? You can type in the chat whether there is A, B, or C. Or you can keep it to yourself because we're going to revisit this slide later on. In Tanzania, we have a chicken population of about 36 million. And over 4.6 million households rely on chickens for food, as a source of food, as well as income. However, we experience low levels of productivity, mainly from diseases, and also we lack data about this sector in the country. And however, addressing the challenges on chickens, we will definitely contribute positively in addressing the second goal on SDG for zero hunger. Currently, farmers hardly keep records for managing their chicken health. They rely on word of mouth to solve their challenges on chicken diseases. However, these diseases are really devastating, with high mortality rates, at times up to 100%, and low levels of productivity. And some of these diseases affect human. So currently, these diseases, which include Salmonella, Newcastle, and coccidiosis, are diagnosed using lab procedures. And they use chicken droppings, and it takes up to 4 days to get the results. At times, farmers do rely on clinical signs, and however, access to these lab services are expensive and limited. So we really see an opportunity to address the challenge using convolutional neural networks, using computer vision techniques. If we are able to apply these to produce tools that can address these diseases especially reducing diagnostic time to 3 minutes, will definitely enable farmers to diagnose these diseases themselves. It will definitely enable farmers to make the right to take the appropriate action and reduce the loss. And such actions could be isolating the chickens that are sick to prevent spread of these diseases. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. You remember SP. So we can really, or we can isolate the chickens that are sick, and it really reduce the economic loss by acting in a timely manner. Now, what kind of data set is suitable for deploying such tools? So image data has really proven to be a universal data format in developing countries due to the fact that we experience low levels of literacy, and in Africa we have multiple languages, as well as the opportunity of deploying these tools on mobile phones is high due to its ubiquity. We have over 250 million smartphones in Africa. In Tanzania alone, where we saw earlier that the population is 56 million people, we have 48.86 million mobile phone subscriptions. So really, and socially, people are equally obsessed in images using in social media platforms and the like. So really, in developing countries, image data is better than lab data, which really brings us to convolutional neural networks, where we're going to see in detail what they comprise of and how they can be applied in addressing the issue of chicken health monitoring. Convolutional neural networks are specialized kind of networks that process image data or time series data. They deal with grid-shaped data, and they have substantial practical applications where they win many contests, such as the ImageNet Challenge, and they are used in handwriting recognition systems and the optical character recognition systems, and also provide the opportunity for the livestock sector in diseases diagnostic. So the real goal of convolutional neural networks, which is arranged in layers, is to go from the input raw image in the input here up to the output to classify the right kind of input. So it is arranged in layers. We have over 5 different layers, where we have the input layer, which consists of the raw image data. We have the convolutional layer, which which we'll cover in detail shortly, and the rectified linear unit layer, and the pooling layer, and the fully connected layer, which really deals with the classification to compute the output scores in the last layer. In this lecture, we'll cover in detail the convolutional layer and the fully connected layer. So an image is really a high dimensional vector, like this one image of a chicken, which is black and white. Just a patch of this image is represented by a 2-dimensional vector consisting of numbers, which are pixel intensities varying from 0 to 255. So this is 2-dimensional, and the numbers you see here are high. The lower the number, the more black the image is, and the whiter the image becomes, the higher the numbers. So really, this is an abstraction of this patch of the image. Now imagine if you have a colored image. It's 3-dimensional. How big would that vector be? it's going to be a 3-dimensional vector, and with all these numbers, computing that by hand to find the features is really beyond our human thinking computing capability. And that's why we really need convolutional neural networks, which really considers in detail the structure of an image. So the first layer, recall the first layer was the convolutional layer. And what is it? It really is a filter. A convolution is a filter. Say here is denoted as W, and it is applied to a patch of the input image, which we call an input feature map. This X here represents our input image over different stages to produce an output feature map, another representation of the image, which we denote as S. This operation of applying the filter, or we also call it kernel, over a patch of an image is a dot product, and it produces another representation of the image. So let's zero in on how the convolution process takes place. I said earlier, you apply this filter or kernel onto a patch of this image where we have our chicken, and then we produce another representation of this input image that we call output feature map. Now, here, this patch of the image where we apply the convolution filter is called a receptive field. And the filter applied here is the kernel. And the operation is a dot product, which is multiplication. So here we multiply the first row of this receptive field with the first row of the kernel. So let us go step by step on how this receptive field is convoluted with this particular filter. So you'd multiply 3 by 1, you obtain 3. And 5, we multiply by 0, we get 0. And 2, we multiply by 0, we get 0. We move on to the second row, where we have 9, we multiply by 1, we get 9. And then 7, we multiply by 1, we get 7. And the third here item is 5. We multiply by 0, we get 0. We similarly do the same operation on the third row, where we get 2 times 0, we have 0 there. And we get 0, we multiply 0 by 0, we get 0. And 6 multiplied by 1, we get 6. This is what we call activation function. And the sum of these element-wise product produce of the filter and the receptive field produces a neuron. The sum of 3, 9, 7, and 6 is 25. So this is what we call a neuron. Now, when you complete this, and then on another convolution stage, you'll move the filter to form a new receptive field, and you also obtain the respective neurons. Now this operation happens over the whole image. Imagine you have a 3-dimensional image. So this is what makes the convolutional neural network very powerful. So now I want you to calculate the output feature map for this particular convolution process, where we have our receptive field here represented by a 3 by 3 matrix, 5, 4, 3. Those are the elements, 6, 1, 6, 7, 9, 2. We convolute it with this particular kernel. So what will be our output feature map? What will be the new representation of this image? So is it A or B? Take time to compute that and put your answer on the chat. Okay? Is it A or B for this particular convolution process? Okay? We have an input feature map that is here. Okay? We do the convolution with this kernel. what will be our new representation of the image? Is it A or B? Okay, so you take time on it and put your answer on the chat. Excellent. Yeah, someone got it as B. That's excellent. It's B. Awesome. So we move on to the network now. During the previous example, we computed a single neuron and now what happens now when they're in a network? Many of them arranged in layers. So we run the convolution over the image, and then we get a neural network which does decision making. The neural network consists of weights and biases, consists of neurons, and the neurons have weights and biases. We adjust those and be able to make many layers of computation and make a decision. And this is how it looks like. The power of neural networks lies in the hidden layers, okay? This is where all the convolution takes place and the decision, where we have the activation function for a given input image. And then when it gets at this point, we have to make a decision on what the output would be, whether the chicken is healthy or diseased. And this is, I really want to acknowledge the work of Chris Ola and colleagues with visualization of what the hidden layer sees. Recall these are the activation functions. Recall on our previous example, these are the activation functions, the result of the dot product of the input feature map and the convolution filter. You get different representations of the input image, and on the hidden layers you make a decision on which one will be the output, which the fully connected layer now will make a decision on what it is. So if you really take time to see how the visualization in the work of Chris Ola is very well demonstrated, that convolutional neural networks can detect patterns that the human eye might miss. It detects from the edges, all the way to the detailed parts of the image. And once the training is completed, the patterns can be detected quickly. And that on the aggregate level, so this happens on the different levels of the image, on the different activation functions which are produced within the hidden layer. And then you are able on the output to make a decision on the class about the class that the image belongs to. And the network assembles that, and that makes the convolutional neural networks very powerful for training images. So how do we apply the power of CNNs in monitoring chicken health? Recall our chickens here, our 3 chickens, okay, where we really want to develop a model, train it, and be able to correctly classify a set of images for chicken diseases. After training our model, we should return the correct label for each chicken up to the level of classifying the kind of disease that the chicken has. So this is our workflow. It has 4 main stages where we generate the data set and we do the modeling using CNN, and this last stage is on production. So we just can't, in Africa, it's quite challenging to straightforward start with the machine learning work. We have to build the data set. It's labor intensive. We physically go to these farms to collect the pictures. And the task is quite labor intensive. We have to find chicken farmers that are supportive, and also be accompanied with livestock officers. You just can't walk to these farms to collect the images. And it takes a whole day to collect up to 150 images. And our data set is actually chicken droppings, because we select chicken droppings since the clinical signs are similar when the chickens have disease. However, the color and the shape of droppings for the different diseases that we're going to work with are unique, and they do supplement the clinical signs. So this is how the data set looks like. We have this is how the chicken dropping looks like for a healthy chicken. It's solid and has very small traces of white and light green. And for a chicken that is sick, suffers from coccidiosis, is brown in color and a bit loose. And for salmonella, the droppings are quite loose and have a lot of traces of white. So this is what we've done so far. We have about 2,800 images, and our target is to reach 8,000. So our second stage on the workflow is the doing exploratory data analysis on these images, where we look onto the features of color and shape of these droppings. We equally collect data on the number of chickens for these farms, and the data is geocoded, which is very useful information to enable us later to produce maps for predicting areas with potential for outbreaks. And however, we really lack the data is not rich, since these farmers hardly maintain records, so we don't have a lot of historical data about the chickens. So our learning so far is that record keeping is very important for improving productivity of chicken farmers. Our third stage is training the model. So far, we have developed a baseline model for binary classification that we'll definitely walk through on on the coding example later. And we aim to do transfer learning, because to using different architectures. There's VGG16, MaxNet, Inception v3. Those are the models that we're going to train the model with once we have enough data. And the metrics we currently use are accuracy. So next, we really see computer vision are good solutions for noticing patterns. And here, the different computer vision tasks, because the goal of computer vision is for visual recognition of images or videos. So there are these different computer vision tasks for image classification. Given an image, can you classify the main object in the image? Okay, and this is the baseline. That's what we use for the baseline model training the baseline model. And then these other computer vision tasks for object localization. You given an image, can you predict the region of the image where the main object is present? Okay, and also the other task on object recognition, which looks on to the predicting the region where the objects are present and classify all the objects in the image. Like here we have a researcher and here we have a chicken, but we'll go on to the details of classifying whether the chicken is healthy or sick from a certain kind of disease. So we really are going to do the training. After we've done the training, we really expect the model to return the correct label for each image based on the chicken dropping, so that we are able to match these clinical signs to the chicken that is sick. And you can see 2 chickens are sick. This one is suffering from coccidiosis and the other from salmonella. So the chicken drop will match once the farmer has identified a dropping with traces of coccidiosis. They will be able to look onto the clinical signs of those chickens that are sick and isolate them from the flock. In the production, we really want aim to reach back to these farmers with their product. And our product will be a mobile application that will be deployed on Android, and access to this app will be free. And in order for the model to be adopted, we will definitely train farmers and livestock officers to use it. And we'll serve the model on mobile app in order to allow usage offline. And really, it is our vision that the mobile application for use by farmers will be for early detection of coccidiosis salmonella in Newcastle will be delivered to these farmers, and we will share with the wider machine learning community with a data set of poultry disease diagnostics. We equally hope that farmers that will use our app will definitely have reduced outbreaks of diseases at their farms. And the progress so far is that we are here. We have so far 2,800 images, and we really need to reach a target of 8,000. The data, so far we are annotating the data with the help of these livestock experts. And so far what we have done is the proof of concept to develop the baseline model, and we really see the work is really feasible. I really want to acknowledge our funders, the Organization for Women in Science, for the developing world, for funding this project, and also the recently won grant in X innovation grant. We have funded for us to collect more data. So, and equally, I really recognize the efforts of Delta Analytics, where I am today, for their strong collaboration in the teaching fellowship to build technical skills, and equally the mechanism design for social good development group. And really acknowledge their efforts, and they're really giving us support on the work so far. We have challenges. We have a small team, and we're really stretched since we have, it's not a full-time work, but we are really making progress and call for more people to collaborate. And also, we need to really address the challenge of building trust with farmers. And we are currently doing all the training online, but once we have enough computing, we'll definitely, and GPU will definitely switch to the server that we have. I've shared here the reference to these slides, and the Colab notebook will definitely be available on the project website, and also some references for you to read on the history of CNNs in detail, and their Chris Oller and colleagues very good interactive reference on how hidden layers, what the hidden layers see with respect to visualization. So take time to explore them in your extra time. So we switch over to a coding example on CNNs, where our goal for the code walkthrough will see how a binary image classification is done, where we'll do some image pre-processing, and the training will be on a Covenant model on Keras, and we will visualize the results and see the different techniques on improving the performance of the model. So as we switch over to our code, okay, I will the link to the Colab notebook is shared. Okay, it's shared on the screen, but you can equally take time to do it offline, even after this session. Because time might not allow us to go through in details. So I propose that in order to save time, we switch over to have more computing on the GPU, and the data is on Git. I hope you can see clearly the code, and try to zoom in a bit to, yeah. Okay, so this is a minimal example, and we have the data on Git, but it's a minimal example mainly for demonstration. So what we are doing here, we are trying to download the data set, and yeah, so we have the data there. We're going to explore it and see here. The first stage is to import the necessary libraries. We have the matplotlib for visualization, and Seaborn and NumPy for handling the vectors. And we have some helper functions as well. Okay, and we want to view what happens. So our goal is to classify the different chicken diseases by analyzing their droppings. So we can just do a quick check on the data, like how many classes do we have. So it's binary since we have 2 classes, healthy and coccidiosis. And let's randomly view the images. So we want to plot these images. So we have, these are the sample images that we have here. This is represent the healthy, and this one is coccidiosis. Okay, so to go, the notebook is well annotated for you to follow, defining what CNNs are, and that that we really see them, they're powerful, and we will use the Keras toolbox for this tutorial since it's the official front end of TensorFlow 2. So we first do the data pre-processing, and here we import TensorFlow because in order to access the Keras toolbox. And next here, we check on the images and we rescale them to be between 0 and 1, okay, before the training. So we have the training and the test data set, and we're doing the rescaling. And we have here, it prints out how many images are found on the folder. So for training, we have 123 images, okay, belonging to the 2 classes, the healthy and cocci. And the validation set has 75 images belonging also to 2 classes. All right, and then we check onto the shape of this data. Okay, we see they're 224 by 224, and they're 3-dimensional, and they're arranged in batches of 16. And we start now building our convolutional model. Okay, here, building our model. Remember, it's arranged in layers. We have the input image going through convolution, and then the being used through the ReLU, the rectified linear unit layer, for introducing non-linearity. So here, our convolutional network will be a stack of alternated convolutional 2-dimensional layers and max pooling 2-dimensional layers. And here we have input images. Our sizes were 224 by 224, and 3-dimensional, meaning they're colored. No, if they're black and white, it could have been 2-dimensional. And then here, these are the different layers. It is alternating convolution with max pooling and the convolution. So building up complexity on this model. So here we develop our model, and after we activate our model, one thing to note is that it's a binary classification model. So our output layer will have to make decision between 2 layers. So between 2 classes, healthy and cocci. That's the meaning of the 2 here. So this is our model summary. It's very complex. It's complex. It's going to analyze up to 4.9 million parameters. Imagine a human performing these computations by hand is quite a challenge. So these are the different parameters that this model is going to analyze. So our next stage is to fit our model to the data using the generator. So we do we import these generators. Here we set up the parameters. Here we have the learning rate, which is 1 to the power of -3, and our loss metric is binary cross entropy, and the metric here is our loss function is binary cross entropy, and the metric for performance is accuracy. So here we feed the model, okay, at the different epochs. So the model runs, and you are able to watch the different. This takes a bit of time, okay, but you can have as many epochs, and we'll see what the perform. So the good thing about running this model is that you get to see these results after every step. So on this step here, we have a loss of 6. The accuracy is about 51.25%. So it takes a bit of time, but it goes on very fast as well because we're using the GPU. Okay, the performance is not very good on training. The accuracy here is about 58.67 at this 17th epoch, and the validation loss is equally not. The validation accuracy is at 53. We have the accuracy between 51% and 48, and we'll see shortly why we don't have those. They have very high accuracy, reaching up to 90%, and okay, and we'll discuss like what can we do to improve that. Okay, so our model is running. Okay, we are on 43. Really, GPUs are fast, and we are getting there. Okay, it's almost ending. You see these variables of accuracy and loss, or the accuracy on training and the accuracy on validation. Okay, and yeah, so this is how it is finished. We've ended up with an accuracy on training of 50.67% and a validation accuracy of about 65%. So there are many reasons to that, because remember, we used very small data set. We only had about 173 points to images to train with. So really, it means we really, to improve that, and this is how we visualize it. Okay, this is the visualization for the training we've done up there. Okay, where for the training and validation accuracy, and this is a plot for the training and validation loss. Okay, so to improve this, would really need to increase the data and the data set, and which definitely will see improvement, I'm sure, even on these the accuracy values. So this is just a walkthrough. When we increase more data, we'll definitely be able to improve this architecture. And if you go further, we can do data augmentation to improve the performance, which really you can do on later. We have annotated it well, which helps in you generate more training data from the data set you have. So you can improve the accuracy also with the data augmentation, as well as adding more data. So I really encourage you to walk through that later when we have when you have access to the notebook. So we go back to the lecture, and we go back to our session, okay, to complete our lecture session. Okay, yeah, and yeah, we have shared the project website, where we'll definitely continually be sharing the progress of this work as we proceed, but because it's really a social good project, and we definitely look for more people to definitely apply this. So I really want to thank my mentor, Melissa, who worked hard tirelessly with me to make sure I complete this graduation lecture with success. I equally want to thank Yad Conrad for for spending his valuable time with us, all of us global teaching fellows. Besides his very tight schedule, he gave us very constructive feedback on our graduation lectures. I equally thank very much the Delta Analytics teaching fellows in the Bay Area: Alicia, Raul, Brian, Amanda, Ali, and Sarah. You really worked tirelessly with us since May, and really appreciate you. I equally thank my colleagues in the 2020 cohort of Global Teaching Fellows for their support throughout this time. So these are my contact details. That's my Twitter account. And also we have the project website, where we'll be posting different updates of this project and share the results with the wider community. And we really call upon you to join hands with us. And it's really time for questions. And I thank you very much for your time, for listening to this lecture. I welcome you. If you have any questions or any contribution, you are out there to collaborate with us, we really call upon you. You can type up the questions on the chat, and I'll definitely be here to answer. Thank you.
Dina, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Melissa.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. While we wait for some questions, there's a little bit of lag from YouTube. So I'd like to propose the first one. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey into machine learning? I think you mentioned, at least in conversations with me, that it wasn't straight. So can you share your path to today and today's project and your new passion for machine learning?
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much, Melissa. Really, as I said, my path into machine learning was not straight. I didn't do a PhD in AI or in machine learning, but I developed the passion from the different initiatives within data science. In 2016, I attended a summer school in machine learning and data science, where I really picked up a passion in learning Python, as well as the different projects that applied machine learning were amazing. So from then onwards, since 2016, I've been learning Python. I've been learning different courses online on Coursera, and watching YouTube videos. And in 2018, I met Sarah. Sarah, one of the co-founders of Data Analytics, she gave a very good lecture at the Data Science Africa summer school. And that's when I noticed she's using a very good approach, and that's when she introduced data analytics. So it was really, she through following up Sarah's path, and she equally didn't start on machine learning. So that's when I really picked up the passion to have a structured way of learning machine learning. And that's when I really also learned about the Delta curriculum. So when I got the advertisement for this fellowship, I really applied, and I really see myself as a different person now when it comes to teaching machine learning. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Thanks so much for sharing. Like, so, you know, you're already quite accomplished already as a PhD and a professor at Nelson Mandela. can you tell us a little bit about your experience with Delta Analytics and how people who are interested might, like, if you're interested in Delta Analytics, what would be the tipping point of wanting to apply for next year?
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Melissa. Again, as I said earlier, you also mentioned I really have a passion for solving practical challenges. So when you learn, when you teach as a lecturer, we really focus more on the theoretical part of things. So the Delta Analytics approach and curricula really equips one to be both theoretical and practical. And like, since your curriculum is open sourced, so for every topic that you read on the Delta curriculum, you have an accompanied notebook to follow that's well annotated. And whatever practical problem you have, let it be on decision trees or random forest or NLP, you really have a starting point that you can use to change, to adopt onto the practical problem you're solving. So I really encourage people out there to apply for the next year's cohort of global teaching fellows, and because it really exposes you to the proper teaching techniques of a technical lecture, which are some of the things which are really lacked. That how do you teach a technical lecture to students and make it engage them? So that's what really makes the Delta Analytics program very unique. Yeah.
Great. And let's see, maybe we have one time for maybe one more question. What do you think? Where do you think AI in Africa is heading toward? There's a lot of talent being developed in people like you and the other global teaching fellows. Now that you have scope of the field and you're the recipient of the Deep Indaba AI grant, where do you think AI and machine learning has the most impact for the African context or the Tanzania context?
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that question. We're really excited to again with the team to win the grant, and it's really motivating that we'll definitely be able to share with the wider community the skills the problems that we can solve in our local context using high techniques such as machine learning. So we really see that we will be able to share the results with the wider community, and not only the international community, but equally locally. And we'll also, through this grant, we'll definitely do our best to share our experience with others and train more. Is really our passion and my passion to train more. Let there be many machine learning researchers from Tanzania, which is in Africa. And the initiatives we have of Data Science Africa and Deep Learning in Daba are really addressing that, the issue on capacity building. But really, through the Delta Analytics curriculum and these initiatives, we really are calling up for local hubs to solve real problems. Now we really need to move from capacity building to solving real problems in Africa. So, and share their products with the wider community. That's really what I really see and strive for. Yeah.
Sorry. Thanks for sharing, Dina. I've put your Twitter handle on the chat for anyone to want to get in touch and follow along with Dina's progress. And if you want to volunteer, please, I think she's invited everyone with interest to come contact her. So with that, I think I'm going to close out the graduation lecture. Thank you, Dina, and thank you everyone out there for spending your evening or your morning with us for the Delta Global Fellows graduation lecture. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.